Okay, I'd like to call the personnel meeting to order tonight. Does anybody from the audience want to come up and address Personnel Committee? Seeing none, I just wanted to make sure everybody's aware that Lori Vargo Hefner is on the line, and so is Matt Dietz. And the first order of business is we have a recommendation for appointment to the General Purpose Authority. Submitting the following individual for appointment to the General Purpose Authority, Robert Donchez. Mr. Donchez is being considered to finish Sean Donahue's term. Mr. Donchez's term will begin September 21st, 2018, and end on December 31st, 2021. There is a resume attached with the with our packet of information tonight. If everybody wants to take a look at that, and if there's anybody would like to comment on this from the Personnel Committee or anyone else. Now would be the time.
Just a quick question. Is he related to the mayor?
He is. It's his brother.
Oh, okay.
But it was really his 42 years in banking that.
Perfect. Excellent. Okay. I'm not seeing anything else. The resume is very impressive, and I would like to see if we could entertain a motion to move to tomorrow's meeting.
I'll
Okay. Okay. Motion made by Lori Vargo Hefner, seconded by Mr. Heckman. Okay, moving on.
You didn't really, but we're going with it.
Okay. We okay with that? All right, great.
Just remember, it's 10 years ago this month that the bankers put us in a very precarious position.
Oh, wow.
They crashed, so
wow.
maybe
2008.
Mr. Doncic gets on. Hopefully he's a reformed banker.
Well, as you know, Mr. Heckman, they do some loaning at the GPA, so
Yes.
it's important for people to understand how that works.
Oh, wait, no, you can look good. Between that. No, go ahead. That's between the meetings.
Okay, sure. Okay, moving on. We have another appointment. Recommendation for appointment to the General Purpose Authority. Submitting the following individual for appointment to the General Purpose Authority. Ann Baum is being considered to finish Sean Langen's term. Ms. Baum's term will begin September 21st, 2018, and end December 31st, 2020. The resume is attached. I was extremely impressed with the resume. If anybody has any comments or questions, now would be a good time to bring it up.
I just have a question. Will being the history with the GPA and what we've all dealt with, are they going to be here tomorrow night in case we want to ask them any questions?
We can attempt to make them available to you, sure.
I mean, especially for this, I think it would be good
Right.
for them to be personally before they get the vote. But, I mean, I have no reason not to support them. I'm just saying this is authority more than just about any right now.
What do you want to confirm that they aren't interested in any other P3 projects?
Oh, we have a few. Maybe find out their knowledge on bridges. And, well, I mean,
I think they're going to learn more about bridges than they ever wanted to know. But the reason I put them forward to you is because Mr. Doncic does have 42 years of experience in banking, and Ms. Baum does bring executive business experience, so that when these issues are being brought forward that implicate business and banking, we'll have members at the GPA who have professional experience in that regard, which is why I nominated them.
No, and I understand. I mean,
we'll ask that they be here.
You sat on council, and I know you understand, as you know, Charles, that it's nice to have the folks, especially on a very important board like this, if they could show up.
Sure.
That's all. If they can't, they can't. I mean, I don't see any reason not to support them. I'm just asking.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Mr. Heckman makes a motion. A second? Have a second? Second, Lori Vargo Hefner. Thank you. Okay, so moved tomorrow night. Next, we have the appointment to the Jail Advisory Board. Submitting the following individual as the appointment to the Jail Advisory Board, Marvin Boyer. Mr. Boyer is being considered to fulfill Daniel Hood's term. Mr. Boyer's term will begin September 21st, 2018, and will end December 31st, 2019. Is there any questions or comments on Marvin Boyer's term for the Jail Advisory Board? No? Do we entertain a motion to move it to tomorrow night?
Lori?
So moved.
Okay, and a second. Second.
Sure.
Second, Mr. Heckman. Thank you. Okay, this brings us to a appointment of Kenneth Brown to the position of Director of Court Services. Submitting the name of Kenneth Brown for appointment to the position of Director of Court Services at the pay grade of 4, Step 3C, salary of $77,566, effective upon date of County Council resolution approval. There is a resume attached in your packet. Mr. Brown is here tonight. And if there's any questions or comments, or if Mr. Brown has anything he would like to address the council, feel free.
Okay. We might take it back. This is been how long this is.
Thank you very much, Council. I stand before you a very humble man to be able to give back to my community in so many facets. But this is beyond anything that I thought that I'll be doing. I'm excited about the possibility of getting appointed to the position and look forward to being able to be an adequate team player for not just Northampton County, but for the team players that I'll be working for, and especially my good friend here, Mr. McCord, who is looking to me with confidence. And I say to each and every one of you, I look forward to working with you. I know of you. I know who you are, personally level. My basketball friend here, who loves to throw elbows when I was a little kid. That's why I became a ref. And my school teacher, who I am ecstatic to be working with and has taught me how to become not just a young man, but a good teacher, father, and a good person overall. So I thank you for the opportunity again. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay. Questions, comments?
Just one question, maybe if the executive could address it. The starting step is 3. Is there any reason why, or what's the reasoning behind the step 3?
Well, there's one, there's a matter of equity. This is the cabinet official, which has historically been paid the lowest. And it's been my experience since I've been county executive and watching Mr. Dertinger do the various roles of the Director of Court Services under his aegis. This is a position that's worth that. That's why.
Well, then my suggestion would be that we review it and potentially move it to a higher level to begin with. I think that that's something to be considered. I agree with you. I think the pay that for step 1 is rather low, but you know, I think maybe we should consider moving it to a different group then, rather than arbitrarily choosing a step. So that's all.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Okay, thank you. Any other questions on Mr. Brown's appointment to the position of Director of Court Services? Comments? Okay, I'm very happy. I think he'll do a fantastic job. He's been a public servant for a long time. Okay, we need a motion to carry for tomorrow. Okay. Mr. Werner, and a second. Okay.
I'll second. Got it. Second.
Fantastic. Okay, so moved for tomorrow night. And we have a personnel request from Human Resources. At the request of Elizabeth Kelly, who is here tonight, Director of Human Resources, please consider the following request to eliminate the position of Pension and Retirement Benefit Administrator full-time and create the position of Pension and Retirement Benefits and Technology Administrator full-time. Sounds technical.
Yes. There will be, in addition, the added duties are very technical.
Excellent.
And I'm going to say that it's probably the rare person that can combine the expertise to do both pension and retirement benefits and the talent and skills and experience. This person brings 10 years of experience in technology to bear on this. Right now, I don't know what any of you are aware of, but the county has what they call end-of-life cycle finance and human resources payroll information technology software. We were using something like version 7.2, and they're now up to version 16.2. But the county has agreed to be an early adopter of version 18.1 in order to get some additional service that we wouldn't normally get. This is a big project. It requires attendance at meetings. It requires regular testing. It requires coordination of other employees to make sure they are doing the regular testing of the parts of the system that they use. And the system is used throughout the county, not just in human resources, but in payroll, in purchasing, and in finance, even in budgeting. So it's an important system. It's important that it be tested thoroughly, and it's a lot of work to keep up that momentum. I'm giving all of these duties to the person who's actually been helping with them all along and going forward. We have another big project at Graysdale. Relias is a electronic learning software. It will enable Graysdale to keep track well of all of the required training that the various folks in nursing over there are required to get from the state and the federal government and other sources of authority. There are requirements for RNs, LPNs, and certified nurse assistants. This has faced more than the usual amount of challenges because there's not a lot of IT infrastructure at Graysdale now. But thanks to the fact that the vendor has developed an app, and this can now be accessed using the app from a cloud-based in a cloud-based method where the server is remote. We use the internet to basically access and retrieve information from that server, upload and download. And this person has been of great assistance in that endeavor and will continue to be. We're only starting rolling it out with the RNs. It's going to take more time to roll it out to the LPNs, the CNAs, and the other folks, even people in dietary. A lot of people at Graysdale, even in jobs you wouldn't necessarily think have a whole lot of training requirements, there is mandatory training. One thing, for example, everyone over there is required to report resident abuse if they see it. So, and of course I can't take away the important job of being retirement benefits coordinator. And that will continue to be. But since it's a significant amount of technical job duties, I felt that it did warrant an upgrade to the position. But consistent with the county policy, this will be a one-step increase for the incumbent.
Great.
So that's what I'm asking you to consider.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
you.
I'm not on the committee, but may I ask?
Oh, question? Absolutely. Please.
There was a person in that position, I believe, for benefits, and will that person be reassigned?
You mean the retirement benefits position?
Well, right, the pension and benefits.
That person,
the benefits person.
That job isn't really going away. I'm adding to it. But in order to accurately reflect the amount of duties,
Right.
that this person will be doing, because they'll be doing all of their retirement and pension benefits duties that they've
they had been doing?
always been doing, yes.
Right.
and added
So you're
to
not
something.
bringing a new person in?
No.
Essentially, it's an upgrade.
Yes. Thank
I know
you.
you have to go through the
And
paperwork.
it's an upward reclassification of the position to reflect what's a
Right.
pretty significant amount of work.
Right.
So,
So no one's out of a job?
of course not. No. Thank you for asking.
Mr. Cusick, question?
Yeah, is,
And certainly not the retirement benefits coordinator.
is the vendor in question you're referring to still SunGuard?
No, but they are a former owner and actually the original developer of like the first version of the software, which was the one we purchased and still use to this day.
Okay.
That company was purchased by someone else. I cannot now remember the name. And then they were purchased by a company called Superior. But just this month, the owner of Superior, which is basically, they're called Vista Equity. They're a group of people who do nothing but invest their many, many dollars in software developers. And they have partnered with Bain, another venture capital company, to buy Superior, a company called Triton, which makes software for public safety applications, police, fire, 911 comm centers, and another company called I'm going to get this wrong. I want to say like MCEP or something. And what they do is software for healthcare applications. This combination of three will give them the best position. They'll be the #1 provider of public safety software, #2 provider of public administration software, which is what we use in North America.
Yeah, I remember a long time ago when we purchased the SunGuard contract, and I was wondering if that was the one to which you were referring. The other question I had is this an immediate need?
Oh, yes. In
Okay.
fact, it's probably been a need even before I got here, because they started this transition out of this old end-of-life software, which just means the vendor's not supporting it anymore, to this new one. I believe it was the beginning of last year, and we're just now looking at what they call go-live dates in like December of this year.
Okay. Because the reason why I ask is because typically, from this body's perspective, it's usually preferable that these be included in the budget and at budget time. But if it's we understand that sometimes needs come up, but we had the Sandusky issue, and that was an exception. But if it's an immediate need, okay, then I'm
Yes, and I do have the money in the budget because I have not filled the position of executive secretary for several months.
I have a question.
Mr. Hackey? Mr. Hackey?
Yeah, it's Kelly. So, and I think it's important to keep up with the tech. I mean, we can use all the technology-focused folks we can. Sometimes over the years, the county's been a little bit, not just the county, but the staff sometimes get a little technology-phobic at times.
Change is difficult.
Change is always be difficult, absolutely. But one of the things that was always difficult was the entire retiree experience at times of the county. And I would go to when Mr. Lasko probably retired, which I don't even remember when. He was the go-to guy. You would call him, and if you were a retiree or if your health care, you said, what's going on? Once he left, honestly, it sort of went into a limbo. There was a person, there wasn't a person, there may be a person, they may be in, they may not be in. That was basically the way the retiree, and as your experience you've had so far with the county retirees, sometimes they get a little ruffled about, especially when they'd call the county, and I know I would hear that a lot. They'd want information on their health care. Nobody knew. They'd call Blue Cross because they said, they'll tell me something. The counties might as well not even waste your breath calling. Or even on their benefits. So I'm just hoping, and I'm saying this as, if in fact this position becomes onerous for the individual, even with the upgrade, because and that's fine. I have no problem with reclassification upgrade. But if the point comes when it really could use some dedicated work on that end, the pension end, and the benefits end. And I know now that it's going to be in our budget and everything that's going to happen. I would hope that you'd consider coming to council to say, even if it's part-time, we need extra help just to make sure that we don't have people out there complaining that I call, there's no point person, I don't know who to talk to. And that's all I'm saying. And I'm saying that from experience and having been around a lot of retirees for a few years. If there was one sincere beef they had, there might be a lot, but there was one sincere beef they had, was that they felt lost once Mr. Lasko left when they tried to get a hold of somebody at the county to explain things to them.
Okay, well,
that's all.
I have fielded many of those retiree calls myself.
Well,
because,
and I could see
as you
why
know,
you're doing
I'm the secretary to the retirement board.
Yes.
And my name is on the letter, which I think helps people to know who to ask for. And I've, worked with the incumbent in this position to solve many of these problems. She's probably solved more of them than I have.
Well, because when you came in, there was a lady there, and I went to her, and I mean, she was fabulous. And I think we're talking about the same person.
Yes.
So, I mean, there was just this time period, and that could very well be over now, because I haven't really tried to call. But, I mean, to me, that's a very important position.
I agree, and I don't, like I said, I wouldn't give this combination to just anyone, but I have confidence that this person can handle this well.
Thank you.
Question?
Thank you.
I'm sorry, just missed a piece of what you were saying because I lost you in the elevator till I got to the door. So this is just it's cancellation of one position?
It's an upgrade.
For
It's
the
basically
same
an upgrade,
person?
yes, but the way
More
I
duties.
express that, if you notice, the job titles are almost exactly alike, except that where it used to be called Pension and Retirement Benefits Administrator,
You added
I
two.
now would like to call it Pension and Retirement Benefits and Technology Administrator. I'm sorry, but I'm not that deep. I kind of go with plain names.
That's all right. I'm just checking. Thanks.
We'll turn it into an acronym, and then we'll all be confused.
The pet tech.
Nobody will ever know then.
I'm sorry, one more question if I may.
Of course.
You're budgeting for this. This is in the budget?
Yes.
And what is it going to be?
Oh, well, the financial difference between what the salary will be with the upgrade and what the salary will be with, as it is currently,
It's on the back
would be
page.
$4,549, but that's for the year.
Okay, that's the okay.
So I'm giving you a year's worth. It's
Okay.
for the end of the year. It won't be that much, but
that's fine.
And these, I'm giving you the exact numbers, not just
Okay.
step one, if that's what you're wondering.
No, that's fine. You gave me exactly what I needed. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I'd like to recommend we
Okay.
move it.
Great. Motion
Second?
made by Ron
Do I have
Heckman,
to second?
second by Ms. Lori Hefner. Okay, so move to tomorrow night. Thank you for the information. Appreciate it. And I think that is adjournment. Calls for time for adjournment. Okay. All right, adjourned. And I think we need a couple of minutes, right?
Actually, the first message was, but then the second message.
Okay, it's all you, Ron.
Okay. All right, well, then we're going to call the meeting of the Finance Committee to order. Before I start, I just want to say, I know we're going to be in the budget next month, and I'll communicate this in writing. I thought I had done it verbally with the fiscal affairs director, but because of the GPA, we didn't get to do this the first time. We were really tied up, and I had said at the last meeting I would go over this, and I knew he was going to be away, but I thought we had Joanne and Mary Alice lined up, but apparently we didn't communicate. I communicated it verbally, but I guess there was just, I know there was some confusion at our end, but I'd like to do this next month and send out a communication to that effect. Okay. Because I think it's important that we really know the budget. All right, courtesy of the floor. Seeing no one. Review of the exoneration of past due county real estate taxes to Lower Rockland Township. So I hope you heard me. I had my mic off. Does somebody want to discuss that?
Mrs. Laurie?
I'm going to, for the sake of everybody, I'm going to say, what exactly are we doing here? And why?
Yeah, it is. I think facially, it's what it purports to be. Lower Saucon Township takes over a blighted property, which had become a nuisance. That nuisance had back taxes owed to the county, and Lower Saucon municipality in our county is asking to have those taxes forgiven. And we're recommending to you to do that.
Am I forgetting that did we do this before for other municipalities that took stuff
We
over?
have done this from time to time.
Oh, okay. I just didn't remember.
Yeah. My only comment is...
Go ahead.
This process started in 1990.
Look at the estate. I mean, I know. I remember that name. That is the name I remember.
It's unbelievable that it's taken this. I know the wheels of government move slowly, but this is absurd. I mean, I just wish that there were ways that municipalities could deal with blighted properties in a much more efficient and timely manner.
I think I agree with you, and I think our blight study is going to go a long way toward identifying ways that we can do that.
But it's really only 06.
3,000.
Well, isn't part of it, though, the courts, and you have to file?
Right. It's still
Mr. McClure, isn't part of it the courts and having to file, and you have to wait? I know through the Bethlehem Redevelopment Authority, we do blight in Bethlehem sometimes, and the solicitor has to go in and petition the court, and then there's a waiting. Now, I'm not saying they wait from 1990. I agree with Mr. Kusick.
I think the process is very cumbersome.
Both, yeah. But all right, now, I honestly couldn't remember we did this, but I have no problem with it if we got to do it.
Yep.
All right. Any other questions?
Motion to recommend for tomorrow
Thank
night.
you. Okay, then we'll move it on. A review of the we did that, never mind. A review of Monroe County local share account grants. A, Mission of Love Food Bank, Portland Upper Mount Bethel Food Pantry. And, well, let's do that one. I see there are two different ones. So let's take a look at that. The resolution in front of you. Mr. Executive, would you like to say anything?
They need a refrigerator, and food pantries, we can't just take the one that we have in our garage. They need a significant investment in refrigeration, and the Department of Community and Economic Development has done some due diligence with respect to this pantry, and they're doing good work meeting hunger needs in the Slate Belt. And we have an opportunity to partner with, they would not be able to get the grant, the local share grant, on their own. They need a municipal partner, and of course we're the biggest municipal partner they can have. So we're happy to be a co-applicant with them for that local share.
Eric,
Yes, ma'am.
in the old days, before this, isn't this financing authority, is this the one that's handling the money now instead of our local?
No, this is this
Okay.
is the Monroe County share.
Okay.
Which, because we're contiguous to
Right,
Monroe
right.
County, we get to apply
get
for it.
money.
Yes, we do on occasion.
Two.
Yep.
But it doesn't come directly to us. It goes there and then they have to apply for it.
I think the money would come to us, and we would serve as a conduit for it. I don't think it can go directly to the food bank. I think it
Right,
has to
well,
flow
no,
through
but it has to
DCED.
go to us
Right.
or something.
Yep,
Okay.
and DCED has certain protocols that need to be fulfilled in order for folks to get the money, and then we
Right.
follow up. And so, yep.
I was just wondering if this was some.
Oh, no, we're not there yet, but we'll be making applications with municipalities to the local share, the Lehigh and Northampton. local share that's being administered by the CFA as well, but that's a different,
Okay.
that's our old
Animal.
gaming money that was taken away from
Yeah,
us.
the gaming money taken away. It's
Yep.
not-
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if I might.
Yeah.
I think we've been consistent in the past with doing things like this, and I don't see why we shouldn't now.
I agree. You make a motion
Yep,
in favor?
absolutely. So moved.
I'm just curious, how many refrigerators do we have in the barn or the garage?
I don't know.
That's under the
We
audit.
have surplus just about everything.
Okay. All right, well, Mr. Werner made a motion, and we're going to move it forward for tomorrow, I guess. And then we have the Slate Belt Multi-Municipal Comprehensive Plan. And I just got these, so you can go ahead and explain.
So this is a Northampton County. This body has committed already nearly, I believe, $60,000 to the Slate Belt Comprehensive Plan, and I believe the Planning Commission was hoping that the state would provide at least equal money to what County Council has so generously appropriated to this very important cause. And let's back up, if we will, and I think Council previously has recognized this, that economic development, to the extent it happens in the future in the Lehigh Valley, is going to happen in the Slate Belt, and that's just one of the myriad reasons they need planning. And the fact that the Slate Belt is coming together for comprehensive planning is no small feat. They've been working on this for years and years. It's absolutely a necessity that they come together and plan for their future, and that's why I think County Council previously has invested in this. And I think this is the Department of Community Economic Development and the Planning Commission's way of getting some money in now in the hopes that the state will also come in the future and assist us with this. But they're seeking this grant so that the planning process doesn't get delayed while we wait on the state, because I believe we've been told by the state that we're not getting any money for these purposes this year. So that's why they want to make this grant application.
Any questions?
I just think that it just furthers our commitment to what we've said about the Slate Belt area. I don't think we should, I think we should continue on our path with them. So I'm in agreement with this.
I'll just add to that, we've consistently worked with the Slate Belt COG on issues like this, and I think that they should be a participant, and I fully support this.
You want to?
So I'll make a motion that we move it to tomorrow night with a recommendation for approval.
Sounds good. We're going to do that. Okay. On to the review of an amendment to the listing of county depositories, and I don't have to get into it. I think everybody up here knows we have multiple depositories.
I think Mr. Dertinger has this piece.
And Mr. Dertinger, with his vast background and knowledge, will come up and explain everything we need to know.
Well, I only think it's amusing that the Fifth Third Bank will now be the sixth bank in Northampton County.
Thank you.
Fifth bank. Fifth bank.
The Fifth Third Bank
Fifth Third Bank.
works with our vendor for paying our compensation claims, so this will be a direct vendor for us and avoid the troubles that we were having previous to having other people making transitions of money to other banks to our vendor to make this. This will make it one-stop shopping for us.
Mr. Durton, the Bank of America, has that always been in our system? I phrased that wrong. Have we dealt with them in the past?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay. Were they involved with our swaption program?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
They were.
I know they were.
They were a bank of the county.
I know.
Depository of the county during that, before, during, and
Okay. I don't forget.
Any other questions?
That's it, thank you.
I mean, it would appear then the only thing we're doing is we're adding.
we're adding them as
We're not
depositories
deleting
so that
or-
we can, yeah.
All right.
Motion to recommend approval to full council.
Great. Okay, we're going to move this tomorrow, full council. Thank you. Now we're going to have a review of Administrative Code Article 13 contracts. And we're going to have A, Reynolds Business Systems. I'm going to say them all right away. Andrew, okay. Casey Mechanical Service, Inc., and Vision Technologies, Inc. And you want to come up and speak to this? If there are any questions or you have anything you want to say on these?
For the past few years, we've taken our books, scanned them so that they're in the system digitally, and somebody could actually view them on the public workstations and copy them right from there. And we've gotten rid of a lot of books to archives. And they can also dial in and look at these images remotely. And we want to finish our last project, the last phase of the project, which are the mortgage books. And we chose Reynolds because they have a very good reputation. Our last company gave the job to temporary employees and were not pleased with the quality that they did. And Reynolds is under the state contract. And also, all that money that we will use for this project is from the deeds records improvement money. That's what we collect, $3 for every document we record. So that's why we collect it for projects like this.
Okay. Mr. Derringer, you both have the floor if you wanted to add anything. All right.
There are three. Everyone gets a swing at the bat.
There you go. Does anyone have any questions on this? You want to wait till we go through all of them?
I just comment. I think that this is the reason why we collect that fee on recording deeds, is so that we can improve our record-keeping systems and implement technology to the best of our ability to make it more accessible to the public. So in my mind, this is a no-brainer, so I would make a motion that we recommend approval to full council.
All right. Well, we have, all right. Reynolds Business Systems, we have a motion to approve, and unless anybody has any, let's move it ahead for tomorrow. So then we go to KC Mechanical Service, Inc.
This is a $49,500 amendment to the steam line installation contract at Graysdale. Mr. Amelie felt that while the earth was open and the steam lines were being worked on, it would make sense to add this amendment to the contract to install the water lines as well, so that the ground wouldn't have to be opened up again. And the earth was disturbed, and he thought this was the time to do this. I agreed with him, and that's why we're here before you on this tonight.
I'm taking it this is in the budget, the money.
Yeah, the money's, yeah. It's not new money.
Question?
Yeah, that was my question. Do we have it in the capital improvements
Yes.
budget? So,
Yeah.
okay.
It may require an amendment. I don't know, but it's there.
Well, I think it's a logical thing to do, that once you've got those lines, I was up there, I saw what they did, and you do the same thing to your house.
Right. And, you know, when he told me what the cost was, it became very clear to me that we ought to do that.
Yeah, sounds good. So we're going to move it on then for tomorrow?
Motion to recommend approval.
And just, you want to pass on to Mr. Amelie, I noticed that the grass and the weeds were just trimmed back tremendously. And I think Mrs. Ferraro.
But the ivy still needs a haircut.
I thought it looked pretty good, but you should have him check with
Mrs. Ferraro, as you're engaged appropriately in oversight, that's part of what the Home Rule Charter requires
Absolutely.
of you.
No, but I would
You
love
need
to
to
come
take
and cut
Mr.
it.
Amelie out there and show him. I mean, I think it's appropriate. that
I
you-
make a motion that Ms. Ferraro takes Mr. Amelie out and shows him the ivy.
I would love to work out
You
there.
need to show him how to do that, okay?
Okay.
I think that's appropriate.
That's fine. Thank you. Now we're going to go on to Vision Technologies. And I see we have Mr. Dertinger.
After a relatively exhaustive process in both putting out the RFP for our IT work as well as dealing in the past months, but truly years, the county felt the need to go outside and take a look at our IT services, and after a series of interviews and so on, we came up with, and unanimously, remarkably, recommended visions for our technology and IT management moving forward.
Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah. First of all, this is an enormous contract. It's $33.7 million. So
Well,
this
you've
is
gone all the way to the bottom.
Yeah.
It is effectively, it is a $7.2 million contract, and then we have the option to continue moving forward. The fact that it's a $33 million contract in its potential and over the years really speaks to the savings that we're looking at across the board, as there were significant differences between them and the incumbent on this.
Yeah, and I think that was my next question. When we see these bids, it is significantly less, and I guess my question is, what was the reasoning for the difference? Are we going to receive a reduction in service for paying less?
This is the part that I'm very happy you asked. Actually, no, we're getting more. We are getting more. This is a company that has several very large governmental entities already on their books, including the EPA and the Western Electric Grid. We have the abilities. Several of the things that we have been missing over the years is our staff here has not been regularly trained or on an update to maintain their training for those who have been trained. They are a company that is an in-house training facility. There are several industry standards that you look for, and not only do they have them, but they can give them to our people. We will be expanding the number of people that work here on a regular basis by 2 from where we presently are. So we are actually getting more services, and one of the benefits is they have a deeper backbench for addressing our concerns and for dealing with these problems. A big complaint that we've had from many of the users has been, and even the people who've been here for years who were a part of our selection committee, was that we never heard from the incumbent. They didn't stop by. We just spoke with the people that were here, and at that point it was no different than if we had gone in-house. We were not getting the outside support. Everyone filled out the exact RFP. The RFP for this, just the response lines is such.
Yeah, I
think you guys-
paged through it. I can't say that I read
as a member of the
every
Selections
bit of
Commission
it, but I
committee,
did
let me tell you
read
that it
through
was
some
painful.
of it.
And you know, they are a company that is also looking to get into this region, to get into this market, recognizing geographically that we are right between Philadelphia and New York, recognizing our proximity to both Route 80 and 78. And I think it's in the best interest of the county that we took advantage of their willingness and their interest in getting into this area. And I'm saying very nice things about them, despite having raked them over the coals recently. But one of the differences is these gentlemen have actually shown up here, something that we haven't seen in a while with our IT peoples.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, they are here from Vision, if you want to.
I'd like to hear from, but I have a question about the.
Sure, go ahead.
Did we have a contract in place? Are we bound by anything?
Our contract's coming to an end this year, and there's going to be a transition from one to the other.
Okay.
And for that matter, one of the advantages of this transition, and one of the things that made Vision kind of stand out, is they're going to be taking a look at our infrastructure with fresh eyes. They were the only bidder who looked at this and provided a transition cost, so that they are looking at what we have and we can move forward to correct or possibly make better what we are dealing with already.
If I remember correctly, we consistently were upgrading our programs to
refreshing, right?
Refreshing.
Yeah, no, and we will still be doing that. That's an expense that's borne by the county, not by this contract.
Okay.
Part of this contract, when you were starting to fall asleep reading through the 60th or 90th set of those little boxes, and God bless everyone who participated in this RFP who actually answered those. they are also bound to, rather than make a bundle on helping us purchase these things, they are also limited to 4% in their overhead, so.
Okay, so there's a ceiling on that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that will stay the same, and it will not, we are the beneficiaries of a well-written RFP.
I guess then to follow up, since you brought up the transition, for the rank and file employees, sometimes these transitions can be traumatic.
Yes.
I guess my question is, what do you see as potential pitfalls as we switch over?
We are not
vendors?
switching over as far as the rank and file folks know. The people who have been with us will stay with us. Part of this RFP was to maintain our working staff here because they already know the place. And it's both to our benefit and to Vision's benefit that they already have a collection of people who already know where the cafeteria is or who's, who, when they're getting a call from, is just a matter of explaining to them that that's not a coffee cup holder, but that's where the CD-ROM goes in. So they do know the folks that they're working with here, and we'll be keeping most of that staff on with them. But now they will have the added support of their back office for working this through.
Let me just piggyback that. That guarantees for 6 months, correct?
Yes.
And so after that, though, they can change what they want.
They can change what works with us.
All right. Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Earlier this evening, Ms. Kelly raised the issue regarding the nursing home. Will they be involved with technology issues there?
Yes.
And do
Yes,
they
sir.
have any experience with healthcare? And can they give us any assistance there?
They actually have a significant amount of help. Well, actually, I can have them answer some of
Well,
those
that would be
questions
good.
without me
That'd be
answering each other.
Yeah, they drove all the way here from Maryland to show up. After their
For
vacation.
$33 million.
Yeah.
The 33 million. they
We
should
better
call.
hear from
Yeah,
you
yeah.
for $33 million.
Before we start, would you please, both gentlemen, introduce yourselves to council?
Yes, sir, that's what I was going to do.
Okay.
My name's Peter Morneau. I'm the Vice President of the Professional Services Business Unit of Vision Technologies, which this contract will be managed under. And Tom, I'll let you introduce
I'm
you.
Tom Cuneo. I'm Vice President of Business Development for Vision Technologies.
Very good.
And if you could answer my question about health, we do a lot of, in the county government, we do a lot of things, from elections to, we run a nursing home, a jail, economic development, so there's a lot of different needs here. What do you see as the challenge, and what is your experience with county government?
So I think one of the past performances, we even provided Clark County School District in Nevada, which is the 5th largest school district.
Las Vegas.
Yeah. They have as many students as you have in the entire residents in the county. So that's how big they are. Massive project, and we've been with them 6-7 years now. In
Okay,
fact,
now stop for a second.
I'm gonna stop.
The reason why we targeted your county was a long-term gig with a lot of employees. So if it was 2 employees for a year, but our practice, as what we did with Las Vegas, was we started out with about 25 people. What do you got there now?
About 36. And that's because we kept filling more needs and actually passed more work onto us because they were getting it much more efficiently. But separate of just the money, part of our corporate culture is customer for life, and we take it serious. All our past performance, you look at all our customers, whether they're commercial, whether they're hospitals. We've had many of them since our inception in 2000. Discovery Channel, 15 years continuous. Every office for FDIC nationwide that we support, 12, 13 years now.
Every office for Securities and Exchange Commission. And we met with 2 of your top technical people today, and I heard a couple of things. Security was huge. We have our own security practice. We do places like the General Services Administration. We do Mercy Hospital. We do a bunch of hospitals in the Baltimore, D.C. area for security. Then I heard, just to me, magic was you guys use Polycom. So I did 40 conference rooms this year for the Security and Exchange Commission. We're one of the largest Polycom dealers in the United States. That means your local people get training, your free training. Well, free training because the company will provide it and make Polycom pay for it. Your folks will get free AMX and restaurant training on the AV stuff. paging system, we do paging for the U.S. Senate. We hear paging has been a problem here. So I could go on, but we spent a few hours with your top techies today.
So I think the takeaway is the fact that your predecessor company didn't have really channel partner relationships with all the major manufacturers, from HP, Microsoft, Cisco. You name it. Aruba, you happen to have all Aruba switching on all your wireless products. We're one of their key systems integrators. We're known as sort of the company behind the company for a lot of the big manufacturers. We're their go-to guys to go do these installations.
We also do about 50 million in cabling every year, and from what I've heard about your cable infrastructure, it needs to not be replaced, it needs to be checked and tested and see what's wrong, because those VoIP systems, your phone systems, no wonder they could be better if the infrastructure behind them were better.
So you mentioned about being a lot cheaper. I will be honest with you, we are taking a big risk. We did this very aggressively because we love this kind of a customer for long-term commitment and intimacy. But we also saw a lot of value in efficiencies. I'll give you an example. We talked about our EPA Office of Research and Development, 13 labs around the country, 13 different states. That contract started, we've run it almost 12 years now. We completed a 10-year, and they just rewarded it for another 5. Started with almost 112 employees on it. We finished about 76. Now, what company purposely tries to reduce their manning and revenue? And we converted that into an average of $3 million a year that they could repurpose to go buy equipment for upgrades. That was this process efficiency we were talking about. That's our gamble. That we're that committed to it. If any of you know, we mentioned Carnegie Mellon, CMMI. As the federal government funds a lot of it, about putting in these best practice for IT service management. We got certified level 3 as a company last year to do it. So we have to believe that we can do this. We're going at risk with our money, not yours, being very aggressive for you. But we also think from the product side, we heard you guys buy a lot of different products. We were talking to gentlemen today. We're not a box reseller, but all our install people use it when they install projects. We just don't sell equipment. So we can pass all those discounts on to you. We don't need to make money on a product. And that's where we think we can give you a lot of efficiency. You mentioned the internal training. The other advantage by being a channel partner with the different manufacturers, you get direct access as a partner to really, I call it the back door to, say, Cisco. That tier 3, tier 4 level support that when the techs might be struggling with an answer, you pick up the phone as a partner, you get a response. Your predecessor company here was did not. So you go in the queue in the waiting line, wait and hope for the callback.
I'd like to.
You get access, if I could just finish, you also get access to all the latest technology. So if you're looking at a future thing, they can pull all that data down directly. You get access to a lot of free training. Like Tom mentioned, we actually leverage that for a lot of free vouchers. That's where we save money. That's the risk we take to give to the employees. If they're willing to put the sweat equity, we even pay for their certification tests.
So one last thing is we heard that a lot of your IT employees were not all that happy. Our benefits package is way better than what they're getting, way better. And we have one benefit that I think is goofy, but it's you get your birthday off. Now, you may not take it off on your birthday, you might take it that Monday, that Friday, but that's one of our benefits. We do a 4% match on their 401ks. We do a lot, and we find the turnover is low, and when turnover is low, you make money. Because you're not
retraining
spending all
people.
your money Ira.
I will say, because you have a friend or the owner who takes it so seriously and lets every employee pull up the company, almost to a fault. I would laugh about it. He is so passionate and sincere about that, and he's so passionate about customers for life that I hate to say it, he doesn't care sometimes even if he loses money. Do the right thing, and we ride. That's why we want customers long-term, to ride the wave with you. You have ups and downs of your challenges. I know it sounds marketing. I came to this company because it really appealed to me. I've spent my whole adult life, serving 22 years in the Marine Corps.
We're done, buddy.
I have a question.
Right. Just one last thing for me. For years we had one person who was the go-to representative that stood for the previous company that we could ask questions that would come to our meetings. Do you have a person in mind, or will you be recruiting someone that will be the face of your company here in Northampton County?
I have a portfolio manager. You will see him probably at least every other week for sure. You will see me at least once a quarter, if not more, up here. And I do schedule meetings, and I like to talk to a lot of different people about very honest feedback, as well as have my portfolio manager here. And we're all about making our team successful and our management style.
Okay. Well, thank you.
We also have an escalation process that actually ends up with the president of the company. So the escalation process would be your two local superstars, evidently. And then after that, our portfolio manager. After that, Pete, the business unit vice president. After that, the president of the company. And I mean, we answer the phone, ask your procurement people.
One final thing, earlier you mentioned the
Mr. Warner.
hiring of the people in the mandatory 6 months. Everything we've heard is positive. We figure it's not broke. If you're very comfortable with those people, we're going to keep them on. That's our goal, is to keep them. They're happy, they know the work, and just help them be more successful.
Yeah, I signed a
Pretty simple
document
approach.
that said for 6 months, no changes. And after 6 months, you really didn't mention that little piece of the clause was we could get rid of somebody, but with county approval. So nobody's going anywhere unless they want to go somewhere.
Mr. Warner.
Just a couple, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. But for $33 million, I got to say, I'd be here too, okay? Second,
I didn't want to seem
I said it. I can say I was in business. Here's the thing, okay? You're talking about the employees, okay? We are going to be paying and billed for mileage for those people that show up here?
No, that element that's in the RFP about mileage and so on was something that there is a number of times where the employees of the IT have to go out to a district justice's house to set up equipment there, or they have to go to different far-flung elements of this.
So that has nothing to do for someone coming
No.
here?
No,
Okay.
that's all in our management overhead.
Okay, and the overtime, the same thing would apply then for those overtime hours, et cetera, okay?
And that's based on scheduling and so on. That shouldn't be.
Okay.
Yeah, no, if somebody has to be at work at 8 p.m. to do a backup, that's not overtime. That's their schedule.
Okay. You have employed services. You're not going to be working with consulting firms?
We do not, on this contract.
On this contract.
100% vision employees.
There will be no contractors.
We don't want contractors. We don't want to pay them. Not at these margins. They got to be our employees.
Just thought I'd ask. I think Charles knows where I'm going with this question. So you can pretty much say that you're going to have hands-on with real employees here working with this contract?
Yes.
Okay.
Usually the only time we bring consultants if you have some kind of specialized need. And
Oh,
it
that's
makes sense to bring
that's
them.
understood. My question was that we have an issue, and when you're talking about service, that's what you're talking about, business development service. Service means you're there when we need you, and you show up the next day. You don't wait a week. You don't answer the phone and get put on hold. For that kind of contract, you have a person in-house here who will have an office.
So we mentioned.
The Mace person, yeah, Bob Mace will be staying on.
Okay.
And dealing with that. There are several levels of that's built into this contract already, so that anyone who is calling up who needs service there are people working the service desk directly, and then beyond that, there are people who are dispatched who work in the building regularly to deal with problems. Because, quite frankly, with the number of people we have here and the number of different systems that we have, there are daily problems.
Did you okay, last question. I'm not, this is not for you to be on defense about, okay? Have you done an audit of our programs yet, or have you gone through that yet?
We have not. We have a pretty good, the RFP was pretty robust.
I don't care about the RFP.
Well, let me tell you, you got a couple like that Superion system.
Yes.
You got some interesting stuff. The reason to not change employees, you don't want to lose that knowledge base. But I really think that Vision can help you guys move forward, and I can absolutely know we can help you with AV cabling wireless, the Ruta stuff, all that other stuff, the help desk. The specialized software, if we need to, then maybe that'll be a couple of the changes we got to make.
Okay, well, we have one of the largest nursing homes ever, okay, which deals with Relias, which is what we were talking about before it was brought up.
We'll be able to help you with that, and our security practice will be able to help the people here with best practices, not on, I mean, we have IT security, but I mean physical cameras, the jail, all that kind of stuff. We do federal prisons. I mean, you know, so we have this back bench that we can help you guys with, that we're not going to charge you for if it's a phone call from our people to our own people. You know, if all of a sudden we need an expert, yeah, maybe you're going to pay, you know, you're going to have to pay for that.
Well, it's just said you're not going to get consultants. I don't know what to do with that.
No, our people, our employees.
Okay. I'll hold you to that. I wrote it down.
Actually, we want you to hold us to that.
Yeah.
Exactly. For hopefully 13 years.
No, we dealt with the incumbent. I was one of those people for years. I'm one of the senior members here. So I think it's important you understand that the incumbent that we still is here. There were a lot of holes in the programs, and we asked for years for those holes to be fixed. And I think the time has now come, since we've got a new council, to test the waters. Okay?
The big believer, there's an involved partner and there's a committee. We're committed. We really want to focus on your mission. I say that sincerely.
Ms. Hefner?
The other thing we do here is we host elections. So what's your experience with that, and how will you be working with the election? We're buying new equipment, you know,
So it's
oversight of
We're
that?
doing that actually in Nevada right now. We're on the actual county IT contract. They're gearing up for their elections. So we're putting people on that contract as well to support it.
So it's a new experience for you?
That's one. Well, I don't know. So I haven't been with the company long enough. Historically, if we've done other elections, I'll let Tom.
We've done other things like elections, like stuff for the census. We've done things for federal government. Our only county experience is Clark County and Montgomery County, Fairfax County, Anne Arundel, you know, the ones around Baltimore, D.C. So we will, you know, you have 25. We have 22 in a whole, but you're going to have 25 on this new contract. So you're going to have staff that can do things, and when you need available more bench, then we'll bring in the bench.
May I if I may,
Sure, thanks.
just want to piggyback on your question. We're going through a process now through the state and the Fed of getting new machines. I'm guessing what you're saying is, I mean, we're still doing that. Whatever company comes in is going to have the voting machines. Your part of that is the technology of moving the information. Would you be in that? I was going to say there were.
There's almost no.
Okay, I
There's
didn't.
almost no internet piece of it.
All right.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
so they'll be responsible for the security.
Okay.
On conveying the information to the Department of State, but there's not going to be any.
Gotcha,
access
and that
providing
answered my
internet to
question.
our voting systems.
I wanted to ask that question before somebody came up and asked it. One of our courtesy of the floors. Thank you. Do you have anything else, Mr. McGee?
Not for these gentlemen.
Oh, well, I have a question while you're still here. County government is service, and you've mentioned service a lot, and I know our executive made that a cornerstone of his saying his tenure. And we're a service level of government. And that's basically what we do. You've heard about our nursing home and everything we do. So I think it's great that you're keeping the people on. I think that's a good overlay. I will say I don't want to see anybody lose their job. And at the same time, though, I think it's important because as somebody who had been around, left, and came back, where technology is now king as opposed to paper when I left, the flow of information is critical, and getting that. In fact, I'll be happy to talk to you because I have some issues as a councilman. Without information, we can't do our jobs well, I don't think. And I've had some issues in contacting the IT department. And it just, some asks, which was sort of like addressed like, well, you're talking about Harry Potter magic or something. You know, I get it. I'm not IT literate, but I mean, I could use a better answer. The thing is, so in doing that, I think if folks are willing to step up and get the training, more power to them. And I'm glad that you're willing to offer that, and you have a service-oriented look at this, because IT sometimes and service don't always, people don't see them going together. It's like, you know, here's how you can get on if there's a mistake. Go to this, go to that, do this, do that, and you're like, whoa, you know, we're talking calculus now, and that wasn't my thing. So I guess I would say to you, that's Mr. Cusick's thing. It's not my thing. But the thing is, I would say that that's a big part of it. I mean, I know the technology and you, I'm sure you're competent. You've been saying, but I think the part about the training and interfacing with regular people is a big deal. The other thing I wanted to ask you is, are you going to be involved with our 911 system? Are they going to be? That's off too. Okay, so this is general government we're talking about. Okay, great. Layers of assistance. Because I don't see it, but I had a question as you were going on. You were talking about different layers of assistance. So if there's a problem that comes up and somebody is unable to answer it at that point, or somebody definitely, they'll check with someone and someone will get back to you.
Or if we're unsatisfied with the answer we're getting at the first layer, we can escalate to the next layer.
Okay.
And there'll be someone to take that call rather than what we're dealing with now.
Yes, and I know I agree with what you're saying. All right, well, thank you. Does anyone else have any questions for the gentleman from Vision? We're looking forward to your actions matching your speeches. Your answers. Thank you for coming.
Just one question for Mr. Derdinger.
Yeah, go ahead.
How long were we with the incumbent folks?
Well, that's one of those travails of Northampton County. It was, over the years, it's been several different companies that have been taken over by another company, taken over by another company, taken over from originally our own in-house.
Okay.
So,
so there's been a whole, so this is a breath of fresh air. Awesome.
One of the things that had been asked in regard to have we had an audit of our systems, they're the only ones that are actually looking to do an audit of our systems. Everyone else was really okay with kicking the can, and one of the elements of this that was very interesting to a lot of us was getting fresh eyes to look at what we're doing here, rather than we can make what we have work. And that's in so many different cases that's not been fruitful.
I held back on a question to ask you if Vision was just another name for our incumbent again, but I didn't do that.
Actually, and to that extent, our incumbent was changing names
again,
while we were doing this.
That's why I asked. I held back.
It was a little bit painful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just say, I mean, this IT is critical to everything we do now in pretty much every organization. So we're really going to be dependent upon you for this service now. So I hope we are spending our money wisely, and I'll make a motion to recommend to full council for approval tomorrow
I did
night.
see their phone numbers on here.
Well, they're going to give us their personal business cards, I believe. But anyway, no. Look, I echo Mr. Cusick says. We do. I'm old, but I understand the future. We need the technology. We need to be able to get this information. I mean, I was around here when people were screaming about putting computers on their desks and saying, I don't know how I'm supposed to use this. Use it like a typewriter. Use the keys. But, I mean, the thing is, I'm looking forward to a fruitful and beneficial partnership on both sides. So thank you for coming, and hopefully we have a motion to move it ahead, and we'll take it up tomorrow night. Okay, thank you. Now we'll move on to, I believe, the controller, audit reports. We have Mr. Zaborski here, and we're going to, I'm going to pretty much turn this over to Mr. Zaborski. We have the review of the division tax billing process audit. Mr. Controller.
I have 5 reports to review with you, 4 audit reports and 1 follow-up. First one in the audit report of the tax billing process. We found the internal controls over the billing process are excellent. Duties are properly segregated. Edit reports, which are reviewed by an individual that does not have input capabilities in the IAS word system, provide a high likelihood that errors and other abnormalities would be caught and corrected on a timely basis. As a result, issued tax bills are accurate. Discounts and penalties are also properly calculated. Refunds and exonerations are properly supported with adequate documentation. However, the Revenue Division should abide by its cheat laws with regards to refunds not claimed. I understand there's an amount of money that they were holding for a number of years from duplicate payments, and they sent notices to the people who paid them and never got a response. So that's where its cheat laws come into play. Also, working on a reminder of delinquent notice, wording on the reminder delinquent notices should adhere to a greater extent with the proper requirements of the local tax collection laws. And the last thing is we found that the procedures should be documented. The person handling it is very knowledgeable and does a great job, but if they were to retire or leave, that information would be lost. So we felt that the procedures should be documented in the Fiscal Policies and Procedures Manual.
It's a story of the county in some ways. Somebody retires.
And you lose all that information.
I don't know. Hey, just heard it a million times. Is that what on that?
That's on that.
Any questions for the controller on the Revenue Division tax billing process audit? Ms. Werner.
It's a question I've always asked myself. I never asked it out in the open. We always hear about the people that owe taxes from 2001, 2007, 2011, and we get the readout on $132,000 owed since 2001. And the thing in my head is that how did these people fall through the cracks? How do we not go after them?
That's a good question, and I don't know. That would be a question for the county executive, but unfortunately he left.
That's what he knew I was going to ask it, so he left. That's
Ms. Kelly, you have to please tell the executive not to go pop the champagne. I'm only kidding.
Yeah.
I'm only kidding, because I know he'll take that personally. I'm just joking.
No, I mean, this has been going on for years.
Well, you know what?
This goes on for years. So I thought
that's a good question for if he's not here tomorrow night, Bob. I mean,
I think since a lot of the people that I saw in the paper, I even knew some of them. So I mean, I get irritated when I pay my taxes.
You know, I saw it too. I think a lot of the people play the game.
Yes.
They know that they have an extension because the county's not going to do anything until they get the sheriff's sale.
And they pay a portion of it.
They pay the day before the sheriff's sale. They're paying their taxes because they know they have that extension.
But and this is, I mean, if I'm out of bounds, you yell at me, okay? If a person comes in and they knowingly are only going to pay a portion of what they've already owed since like 2001, I think they should be arrested on the spot. I think they should be dragged out of there, kicking and screaming, and say, "What did I do?" Okay, but that's just my feeling anymore. I've owned a home for 33 years. I've paid a lot of taxes over those years, and I'm sure that if I missed one payment, I'd be in the paper, where someone would be all over it. Absolutely. I mean, even when I swore at Graysdale, I was the headliner. But just a simple, maybe you even ask the same thing to yourself sometimes. You say, how do they get away with it?
A lot of them, they wait till the last minute, the problem is it should go to the sheriff's sale. And right before it goes to the sheriff's sale, they pay their taxes, so then it's withdrawn.
So that goes
down the line. Another couple of years.
But it's such a blatant I mean, to me, it's somehow we should be able to fix. You got something to say, don't you?
Just
okay.
You know, there's people that just know how to work the system. That's what it comes down to, no matter what. I think this is a good audit. I think that the one thing that we're kind of missing out here is the big picture when it comes to property tax billing, and that's that there hasn't been a reassessment in 25 years here. So while the process may be adequate, I think from a big picture standpoint, we're behind the 8 ball.
Any other questions for the controller on this specific audit? Okay.
The next one is a follow-up to the county constable audit. We made 4 recommendations. Excuse me. The first one is court administration should be running the MDJ 1529 report to ensure accurate and complete information is being compiled instead of requesting the information from the magisterial district courts. I understand they were doing it manually. And the corrective action is the court administrator provided fiscal with the MDK 1529 report for the 2017 tax year. In their management response, said the generation of this report will eliminate clerical errors and the need for second-person verification. Since corrective action was taken, no further follow-up is planned. The second recommendation was on constable mileage reimbursement. We recommended all MDCs should be using the same method of determining the mileage for landlord, tenant, and civil complaints. We found that some were using a flat fee, others were using actual mileage. The Controller's Office sent a copy of the County Consular Audit Report to all the Northampton County MDCs, so they are aware of the issue, and corrective action has been taken. When we do the audit in the offices, we follow up, and we'll be doing that on our biannual audits. The third recommendation was we recommended that domestic relations may want to consider adding additional verbiage regarding the Constable Review Board in their next contract when it's reviewed in 2020. They concurred with our recommendation, so no further follow-up is planned. And the fourth recommendation, we recommended a reminder be sent to all constables to file their annual financial interest statement by May the 1st, which we found out some were not doing. Our office audited the 2017 financial interest statements for all current constables and found significant improvements over the 2015 audit results. No further action is required.
Mr. Zaborski, before I get to the question, I'm flagging the mileage that you said that they will do it. I mean, going back, I don't know, I'm just going to go back 30 years. Mileage has just been all over the place with how people record it, how people allow for it. I mean, I used to go crazy in human services saying, could we have one system, please? And once again, it became a kingdom thing. But I'm hoping with the new technology company, and they're going to, I'd really love to see a lot of this stuff. And I know we don't tell the courts we can suggest, but I think it would be great if everybody in the county got on a system that, you know, was relatively standardized, because for me at least, this has always been a bone of contention, and sometimes people would say, well, it's not that big a deal, it's not that much, but you spread that across an entire county, and it becomes a bit.
I happened to be at a district justice office this morning. I went with one of the auditors, and we spoke to the justice. They were, up until a couple of months ago, they were giving everybody 20 miles. But now they go actual mileage. They go to Google Maps, they look up the actual mileage, they file a copy of in their report, so they're giving actual mileage now, which they all should be doing.
Who do the constables actually report to? If they're
MDJs.
And then who? So it's going to be your. It's going to fall to you.
No,
the courts.
Ultimately, I think
courts.
Oh, so the judges. That's why I'm asking. Who's the person to pull it in
She's
line?
the ultimate person, but I mean, the MDJs better get it straight before it goes to the judge.
I see.
Yeah.
Judge probably wouldn't be happy.
Yeah, you're herding cats with this idea. Yeah, do it.
Anything else on this one? I think we all expressed.
Okay, the next one is the audit of the Conservation District for the year ending December 31st, 2017. This is an annual audit required by the State Conservation Commission. There were no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses that were required to be reported. We did bring to their attention 2 items to improve internal controls and compliance. First was attendance of board members, specifically the county council representative. It's not a problem with the State Conservation Commission, it was a problem with their internal policy, and the finding was for the year 2016. We recommended the policy be reviewed with all board members at a district board meeting, and that appropriate action be followed and documented for any further instances. I did have the opportunity to attend the Conservation District meeting last week, where we went over the audit report and we discussed this with them. And since they have a new county council representative, Ms. Zarinsky, I don't think they'll have that problem anymore. The second area dealt with reconciliation of miscellaneous revenues to the financial system. While it appears all revenue was recorded on the financial system, we found that the miscellaneous revenue log was incomplete and did not reflect all the revenue that was collected. We recommended that the log be periodically reconciled to the activities on the financial system to ensure there is proper accounting of all revenue. We discussed this with the manager and have provided her with suggestions on reconciling this revenue. That concludes that one.
Any questions on that, Mr. Spruce? All right, let's move on to the 911.
Tax Reimbursement Agreement. This was an annual AUP, agreed upon procedure audit that is done where we evaluate the accuracy of the 2018 tax reimbursements via mileage rate adjustment for municipalities, not millage rate adjustment for municipalities not participating in the county E911 system, and the calculation of variances between the amount based on the estimated 2017 911 expenses versus actual expenses. There are 3 municipalities that do not participate in the county 911 system: City of Bethlehem, the Borough of North Catasauqua, and the Borough of Walnutport. Now, I understand that by next year they all have to be members of it, so that I think we're going to have to do an audit for another year, maybe another 2 years, and that will end that report.
Yes, I agree. Any questions on this?
Bethlehem is going to be merged in, so I think we're going to have, half a year next year, so this will still have to be done. I don't know, North Caddy and Walnutport, they're in Lehigh. They
I was going to ask. I don't know. But I was going to ask, but maybe tomorrow night.
North Caddy is in Northampton.
Yeah.
But I wonder if they're going to be allowed.
North Caddy gets their 911 service.
Well, does the new law
they don't
let
have
them
their own
stay,
dispatch.
but can they stay with Lehigh County, or must they now come into Northampton County? I don't know if the new...
I don't know, but I know that both Walnutport and North Caddy are in the Lehigh County 911 system.
I'll have to ask Mr.
Walnutport because of their relationship with Slatington, but North Caddy, I have never understood why they're in Lehigh County's 911 dispatch range. It makes no sense. But, it's worth looking into, but I think they should all be part of ours. But I understand what's going on in Walnutport. But, yeah, it's because their relationship with Slatington.
And they did that back when we started it. I mean, they were very clear that they wanted to go with Lehigh. They were going to be with Lehigh County and Slatington. And the law let them do that. Now, I don't know if that's changed up now. We'll have to, tomorrow I'm going to flag that. It's another question for the administration. Okay, no other questions on that? Let's go to the Department of Corrections Inmate Personal Property Account Audit. This should be good.
This audit is done every 4 years. This is money an inmate has on his person when they are booked or received from outside by relatives or friends. With this money, inmates can purchase commissary items, send money to designated family members, or pay cost recovery items such as medical visits, haircuts, or room and board. If an inmate gets paid for any work they do in the jail, it goes to this account. The scope of the audit included receipts and disbursements that occurred between June 1st, 2017 and May 31st, 2018, and a reconciliation of inmate funds to the county's financial record as of May 31st, 2018. No major audit findings were discovered during the testing. We did note 3 minor exceptions which were addressed and corrected by management during our field work. Internal controls are functioning as intended. That concludes my report.
Any questions on this? Okay, seeing none, I'll thank you, Mr. Zborski, for your reports. Now, any other new business anybody has for the Finance Committee at this particular point?
I just have a quick comment, not for the controller. Several years ago, most of you weren't here, we passed a tax break for the Dixie Cup facility, and today on Lehigh Valley Live, I saw that they owe approximately $298,000 in back taxes.
Ooh.
So I think it's kind of ironic that somebody that we've given a tax break or put them in a program that would have allowed them to pay no property taxes, the KOZ, as a result of not participating and moving forward with the development. They're now in arrears $298,000 to the taxing bodies. So I don't know what the solution is, but I just hope that as a resident of the Wilson Area School District that they,
County giveth, and the county can.
well, I think that that's something we may want to look at, is should we remove them from the KOZ program?
I think, I mean, going back, that was a big piece. I thought a lot of the things we did was looking into where you stand with your taxes or whatnot. And I mean, certainly I think it's a consideration, absolutely.
We took a leap of faith when we did that with them.
Okay.
I was on that committee at that time, and you know, you reach out and you give everybody an opportunity.
Yeah.
I think this has been more than enough ample time to show some progress.
How long has that been since you put it on?
7 years.
Okay.
It's been quite a while.
The same way about those people that were taxed since 2001.
But
we're on a theme here, Bob.
Yeah, but the other.
Maybe this is why Mr. Dertinger left. He knew these questions were going to come up.
But the other properties that we put into the program, I think it was what, the East End, the Silk Mill, they got theirs moving, and there was another one. But that one just never got off the ground. And,
that's a fair point. I mean, if we do these things, to have some kind of time frame where there's a review to say, or
we've
somebody.
always had someone with oversight on those programs. Someone always would report back to us or give us.
So what happened on this one?
Some of that verbiage should be put into the ordinance. You know, any new ordinance that,
Well,
you know, in the future. I mean,
it will be, but see, we have that's economic development.
Yeah.
At the time.
Okay.
So then we have new people, so they have to come up to speed on what they don't know. But
Good point.
I think we can discuss it. I think John made a great point, and I agree with it. We gave them an opportunity, and they failed.
But when you created that KOZ, was there somebody who was taking responsibility for that? Or just each individual
At that point,
owner?
I don't really know. It was a group. I can't remember what it was. I'd have to look it up. But yeah, they take the responsibility. They have to sign off on it.
Wow.
But the point is made, and I agree, it's up to then us as the county to do our due diligence, because they're not going to probably come forward and say, hey, we're behind on taxes, almost X amount of dollars. And I mean, we need to be following up. I certainly agree with that.
The problem is that those types of actions don't recoup the money.
Yeah.
That's the issue. You
Yeah.
never get the money back.
And you know, for the controller, I think something to consider maybe is to look at potentially auditing that alphabet soup of tax breaks that we give LERTA, KOZ, TIF, you know, to make sure that you know what was intended is moving forward.
Well, is that still, but I'm asking this because I'd like to know. In the past, council as well as could request the controller to do any audit. Now, the controller makes his decision, they're independent. But I mean, we certainly could put something together as a request to do that. I mean,
Go further, so you can take steps. We can subpoena anybody.
Well,
slow your roll there.
You want to end it, fix it.
I like what you're saying.
But if that's something, if that's something that the committee is interested in, we could put a resolution requesting that the controller's office perform. I think it's traditionally been done by resolution, a request to the controller's office, just to review the, you know, like I said, that alphabet soup worth of tax breaks that we have for the various special entities across the county.
You brought up a good point. Maybe it's time to start reviewing that, find out, you know, just where we are.
I think there was a very famous ex-council person who used the controller for performance audits for just about anything on any given day. So, we don't have to put that kind of pressure on Mr. Zaporski, but it's a good idea. You mean do it? Yeah, I would think it would be a function of the Department of Economic Development to be following up on that, I would guess. So, I mean, but that's part of having a controller to do an audit and then say, hey, this is happening or this isn't happening.
Well, I think as part of the audit, he would meet with the Department of
absolutely.
Community and Economic
Well,
Development.
let's see if we can write up something.
Yeah, I think
why don't you spearhead that, Mr.
Yeah,
Cusick?
I can do that if
In
nobody
the
has any
spirit of
objection.
true bipartisan, and leave the reassessment parts out. That won't have anything to do with this. Okay, well, if there's no other new business, I'm going to call for adjournment. Ready? Yep, let's adjourn.
Well, I'm really.
Just an accolade from the controller. For conservation, he said.
How are you, sir?